I know you watch anime. Which ones do you watch / are your favorites? My favorites right now are Attack on Titan, Steins Gate, and Madoka Magica. Out of every map, which is your favorite? Old / unused count. I haven't been playing much recently, but last time I was really enjoying Concord, Northbridge, and Trenton. What maps was the most enjoyable to work on and why? Well, I'm a scripter, so I would say Baltimore because I was able to just model these very bigger scaled destructions on the city.
My favorite map to have worked on of the ones that are currently released would probably have to be the recent McRae's House remake. It was really a breath of fresh air compared to the other maps that we've made because of the small scale of the map, and the map itself is filled with opportunities to break things during fighting and sneaking around. I really want to add more stuff like the breakable walls on McRae and the breakable planks on future maps, so, keep a lookout for that.
My favorite map is Baltimore, and I love working on the badges and stuff.
So my favorite map that I worked on was Baltimore. I'd say it's my favorite because when we were making it was a super big map at the time. It was like the biggest we'd ever made. I'd say my second favorite map was Lexington to make. I liked making it look as realistic to real life as possible, or at least use the references that I could. It was actually kind of fun. But firstly is Baltimore, yeah. I liked working on Baltimore.
My favorite map is probably McRae, and then as for the thing I like to work on are skits because they're short form content, which I find funny, so yeah.
What are your favorite song / musical artists? Have you listened to any during dev sessions? I tend to just listen to whatever I feel like during dev sessions. I don't have a particular favorite, but I've been listening to a lot of Vocaloid. Is there a chance that we will be getting more alternate history maps? How far and how much alternate history content do you guys plan on having in LNC? We will only really be adding alt history if it can serve as a pretty reasonable extension of a map we're already working on. It's not going to be a regular occurrence. Will you continue to add the Robloxia versus Cross-Order maps back for April Fool's events or other events? Yeah, I'll come back for April Fool's, and we'll probably add some more miscellaneous stuff. Infantry never carried blunderbusses, and this game is focused around historical accuracy, so what compelled the developer team to add it as an infantry unlock? To be fair, the addition of the blunderbuss was more of a spontaneous decision by me, and I really only added it because I thought infantry could use a bit more spice to their gameplays, much like how other classes have access to other weapons. Are you going to add cavalry or naval battles in the future amazing updates? Also, would it be possible for Sapper to have the ability of putting a swivel gun? Well, so I have inquired about cavalry to our researchers, and it doesn't seem that they have really engaged in a lot of direct actual hand-to-hand combat during the wars, so it doesn't really seem something that I could justify right now. Naval battles, I just don't want to really mess with boats unless it's in a scripted map capacity. And for swivel gun, I plan on actually giving them to the artillery class, not sapper. Do you ever fear the LNC community growing to the point of becoming insufferable as seen with one other prominent musket game community? Have you seen any examples of this happening? Alright, so besides you throwing shit at the other game, I feel like with any fandom, the more it grows, the more weird or awful people pop up. I think that's just inevitable, and I do feel like we may encounter that issue. It would be up to us to really moderate that. Do I fear it? No. Do I expect it? Yes. Do I want it to happen? No, but it's gonna happen, and I've accepted that. Will you turn more skirmish maps into conquest? I'll probably be turning more skirmish maps into either conquest or campaign / objective. Like Bunker Hill, Queenston Heights, Gananoque, those will be the ones I will turn. Besides what they're planning with Roanoke, do they have any events planned that include the Headless Horseman? We do not, and we're probably not going to do it because of Guts and Black Powder. A lot of their players are also our players, and honestly, because we're both thematically centered around muskets and around the same period, I feel like if we did Headless Horseman, that would just be a lot less content for people to enjoy. So I feel like doing something else is just the better route to go. Will Spain ever have the same function as France, and will France be featured in more maps? I do want to add France in more maps. I do want to add Spain. That's all I have to say for now. What is the most mid-finale music in game? Usually when we're picking music for finales, we don't tend to pick the options that are the most mid. However, I would say that the one with the most mid execution would be, in my opinion, Fort McHenry right now. which is why we are reworking it. What's your goal for the game's future? Well, my goal for LNC's future is to get to the Mexican-American War and just basically stuff the 3 wars we have with as many battles as we can. When you sneak peeked the grenades, did you replace them with the cohorn mortar, or are we still getting grenades? Yeah, they were replaced with the mortar just for balancing purposes, but grenades might be a pick-upable weapon or item in a map in the future. Who knows? Do you have plans to add historical figures to the game, like George Washington as an NPC, etc.? Well, yeah, I do want to do that, and I actually, in fact, have started doing that. Just you wait. Will y'all bring back Old Trenton and Kings Mountain? No, they were removed for a reason. Will there be any maps that won't be reworked? The only maps that aren't going to be reworked are the ones that are already reworked. I mean, the only maps I'm actually just like actively doing this to are just the ones I don't feel like are up to quality with the rest of our newer content. Do you already have any plans for a possible Bunker Hill rework, a rework of the map and battle style, and a possible separate mode for PvE? I do intend on reworking Bunker Hill. I do not currently have any plans for Bunker Hill. It'll happen in the future, hopefully next year. How do you choose which map to make? I choose purely based off of vibes, how I'm feeling, that's it. What is your least favorite map? Not talking from a development standpoint, but a gameplay perspective. Well, from both a development standpoint and a gameplay perspective, I fucking hate Ganonakwe. It just sucks, the map was remade twice, and it wasn't good in the second remake. Like, I just don't like it. I hate it. Do you like how Fort Erie turned out? I like it for the most part, but I will probably have tweaks made to it in the future just to promote accuracy and also maybe gameplay, but mostly accuracy. 1. How far would this game go in a time period sense? And 2. Would you make maps outside of the North American continent? Number 1, Mexican-American War. Number 2, very possible maybe. And I'd probably do things like Gibraltar. GNB collab when? Wouldn't count on it ever happening, and that's only because they have publicly put down our game before, and you can't really work with someone who would just not respect you or your project. Like, you just don't do that. Will there be more 1812 maps? Yes. What do you plan on doing with the game if Roblox is no longer a good option? I probably would just abandon the game. Like, I'm not trying to become a game dev for the rest of my life. I need to move on at some point. Do you expect to get more developers like builders or scripters in the future? I do expect to get more builders because at this rate we won't get a lot finished in 10 years. I want to be finished within 5 years, or 3, preferably 3.